Bombshell allegations against the West Virginia State Police. A laundry list of shocking allegations. Taping women in a locker room, destruction of evidence, and theft from a local casino. The Eyewitness News investigative team is tackling it all with complete team coverage. We have a lot to unpack, but first, an exclusive report as Eyewitness News investigates shocking allegations about West Virginia State Police misconduct.
An anonymous letter several months ago detailing alleged criminal activity by high-ranking officers of the West Virginia State Police. The author wrote it wasn't signed because they feared retaliation from the department they serve. Eyewitness News has been looking into the allegations. We also alerted Governor Jim Justice about the situation in a private meeting, going through that letter line by line. Once the governor's administration learned about the accusations, it started an internal probe. Tonight, in our exclusive report, we'll tell you where that months-long investigation stands. Some of the accusations leveled by the anonymous author are shocking. They include the misuse of federal and state funds, using ghost accounts to spend public money for personal gain, high-level officers engaging repeatedly in inappropriate behavior in state offices and vehicles, and illegal overtime schemes resulting in hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent payments.
Our full team coverage starts right now. Our crews are digging deeper into this bombshell case.
Tough day for West Virginia, but one which also represents an opportunity to address problems within the state police and then move forward with new leadership and a sharper focus on protecting and serving Mountain State residents. When presented with the findings of the investigation by the West Virginia Department of Homeland Security, Governor Jim Justice said he knew what he had to do. Justice, who was first alerted to an anonymous letter detailing several potential problems within the state police late last summer by Eyewitness News, determined the best way to right the ship was to make a change at the very top.
Colonel Jack Chambers is now the interim superintendent of the West Virginia State Police. His first order of business will be conducting investigations into the agency that he just became the leader of.
Digging deeper into the investigation into West Virginia State Police.
Basically, any way you cut it, that money was stolen.
Tonight, we get a look at new video of an incident at a casino where a trooper is accused of theft.
Why do I feel like I'm the fall guy? I think this just turned into a feeding frenzy.
Now, former Superintendent Jan Cahill not holding back.
That I've proven, I've displayed that I'll make tough decisions. You guys don't have to go behind my back.
Former Colonel of the State Police on the defense a day after he says it was resign or be fired.
I think it's vindicated him somewhat. I know it's a public opinion and he still has a long way to go.
We're one-on-one with a lawyer for a trooper who claims his client was targeted by the state police.
Eyewitness News lead investigative reporter Kenny Bass, who broke this story, has been looking into it for months.
After all the things I've seen about this investigation, all the things that I've been told, this was brand new, and it was pretty amazing to sit and watch it happen. The governor's office sending a shocking video of the alleged Mardi Gras casino theft. Former State Police Superintendent Jan Cahill allowed the now former state police captain involved to simply leave his job without any further investigation. Video surveillance from Nitro's Mardi Gras Casino and Resort shows a man playing a machine getting up from his seat by leaving an envelope behind. West Virginia Department of Homeland Security investigators say that envelope contained cash, which was scooped up by a now retired West Virginia State Police trooper, shown here in a gray and black hat, dark shirt, and blue jeans, walking with a woman identified as his wife.
The results of this investigation are pretty daggum harsh. That's all there is to it.
Former Superintendent Jan Cahill telling Hoppy today he did not know about the investigation from Homeland Security until we broke that story in February. He says he has been left totally in the dark, that state police records were not requested until after our story aired, and is calling this a feeding frenzy by the governor's cabinet members.
The anonymous author whose letter triggered the investigation into the West Virginia State Police comes forward and speaks exclusively with Eyewitness News.
What was your hope when you put together the allegations that you put together in that letter? What was your hope?
To still to this day, that the integrity gets instilled back into the department.
Well, the man claiming to be the whistleblower who made bombshell accusations of widespread criminal activity within the West Virginia State Police remains behind bars tonight.
I believe strongly that he's innocent of these charges, that they were brought for bad reasons, brought to retaliate against him because of his being identified as the whistleblower who exposed corruption within the state police.
It's been called the most high-profile cold case in Canadian history. A 16-year-old girl raped, beaten, and left for dead in a snow-covered field in Quebec. Her name was Sharon Pryor. It's taken police nearly 50 years to crack this case that's haunted investigators and Sharon's family since the day she disappeared. Now, Canadian detectives say the answer to who killed her is buried here at this cemetery in Putnam County.
It's a combination of the most evil element in the human race contacting the most innocent element in the human race, the child.
A combination of evil and innocence that's haunted a city in Canada for 48 years. A case that had gone cold until being resurrected 900 miles away in West Virginia, landing with seasoned Putnam County prosecutor Mark Sorcea.
Some things are worse than death. Losing a child like that, for family, for mom, to know that your child died that way.
Her name was Sharon Pryor. 48 years ago, the 16-year-old left her home to meet friends at a nearby restaurant. She never made it. 3 days later, on April 1st, 1975, her body was found in a field in Longueuil, Quebec, outside of Montreal. She was 15 miles from where she was kidnapped. She was lying on her back in the snow, her pants removed, and her underwear found hanging from a nearby tree. She'd been restrained with tape. Some of it was stuck in her hair. The 16-year-old had been raped and tied up with a blue men's shirt. An autopsy determined Sharon was strangled and beaten to death. She had a branch clutched in her hand. Sorcea hadn't heard of the case that took place so long ago and so many miles away. That all changed the day he learned Canadian cold case detectives believed her killer was buried not far from where he grew up in Putnam County.
There's a family, guy killed and raped a girl. We're going to help our friends in Canada, and we're going to, be on the team and get it done.
In March, Sorcea petitioned the Putnam County Circuit Court to find out if the man buried in a rural cemetery in Fraser's Bottom could really be the man who brutally killed Sharon. His name was Franklin Maywood Romine. The case that Longueuil police in Canada had built against him, a man that had been dead for 40 years, was remarkable.
What's amazing about the case is we found this guy, and he probably never gave a DNA sample in his life.
In the decades of investigation and countless tips, suspects, and interviews, Canadian detectives say Romine's name had never come up until last year, when a DNA profile that was removed from that blue t-shirt and Sharon's underwear and pants made it possible to target the last name of the suspect.
Then they got the name Romine. So then they just started looking at their criminal records. Well, they see this guy being very active in Canada and Montreal in the 70s, right? Violent activity, in and out of jail. And then they start looking at the West Virginia criminal records. And then they see that he beat and raped a girl in Parkersburg and got convicted of it. Well, then bang, you have a suspect.
Romine had a criminal record that started when he was a child. By 1964, when he was just 18, he'd made his first attempted escape from the West Virginia penitentiary. He'd be in and out of jail before his next escape in 1967. 2 years later, he'd start committing crimes in Canada.
You can track his location by his arrests. He's always getting in trouble. So you can see this date he's in West Virginia, and this date he's in Canada, and this date he's in West Virginia. So we have a window. We can tell when he was incarcerated and when he was on the street. He was probably incarcerated half the time, and then he'd be on the street, and then he'd go back to jail.
In 1974, deputies in Wood County said he broke into a home and raped a woman in Parkersburg. He was released on bond and fled to Canada. Sharon Pryor would be raped and killed a year later.
We have a window in his freedom corresponding to the death of the child in Canada.
He'd eventually be extradited back to West Virginia and convicted of the Parkersburg attack. After serving his prison time, he was back in Canada by 1982, the same year he died at the age of 36. How he died remains a mystery. Detectives haven't been able to find a death certificate. His body was returned to his mother in West Virginia, where his family dug his grave, here at the Pine Grove Cemetery.
Matter before the court is the petition of the state of West Virginia in the matter of Franklin Maywood Romine, deceased.
But was the case that started in Canada enough to convince a judge in West Virginia to allow the extraordinary step to exhume his body and prove once and for all that he was the killer? Longueuil Police Detective Eric Rassicot was ready to lay the case on the table and on the record for the first time in hopes Judge Philip Stowers would agree it was the only way to close the case.
We can speculate all day on it, but we won't know the answer until we open the grave to see the remains.
The detective testified for nearly an hour about the facts of the case and about how a 22-year-old woman named Cheryl Roy was nearly abducted at knife point in the same area and around the same time that Sharon would have been walking to that pizzeria.
The suspect told her in English not to scream and to follow in. He also told her when she fights back, you bitch, you're coming with me. So that is an important fact since the official language in Montreal was and still is French.
The woman told police that the English-speaking man was white, in his late 20s, about 6'2", 200 pounds, with brown hair, a mustache, and a blue ski coat. The detective said that description matched Romine's at the time, along with a footprint found at the crime scene that would have matched his shoe size. Tire marks were also found in the snow-covered field, and they determined the type of tire would have only been used on 37 models at the time. One of them was a Wrangler, the same type of car Romine had bought from a woman who lived in Sharon's neighborhood.
Very interesting, and I bring your attention to the fact that this address is only 2 blocks away from Sharon's house.
Then the bombshell. There was more damning evidence pointing to Romine, and science backed it up. Both of his brothers had voluntarily given DNA samples to police. The detective said showed their samples from the crime scene were 140 million times more likely to come from their brother than any other random Caucasian. One of the brothers telling police that Romine probably did kill Sharon and claimed Romine had tried to rape his wife while he was away serving in the Marines.
As a result, he and his brother were never close again.
But when it came to digging up their brother's body, the Romine siblings did not agree, writing a letter to the court that they adamantly protested the exhumation of his remains, saying they didn't think it was necessary given there may not be enough preserved DNA to prove anything. They said it would be impossible to exhume his body without disturbing their mothers.
We don't want to cause any prejudice against the Romine family. We only want to ease the pain of the victim's family. And we think that the only way to do that is by opening the casket of Franklin Romine to get his DNA and to confirm, once and for all that he is the killer of Sharon's Blair.
The judge agreed.
They have, in fact, very narrowly, before they took such a step to exhume a body, have meticulously decided in investigating the murder of Sharon Pryor that they've developed DNA evidence, they've developed location information, they've developed automobile information, body and build information relating to the decedent. And the court believes that given that there's sufficient cause here to order that the body be exhumed, and that information for DNA purposes that needs to be retrieved will be permitted.
Three and a half weeks after that crucial ruling, it was exhumation day. It's the first time the cold case unit from Canada has met the West Virginia team, the group that worked to put an end to their mystery.
This was a big case in the time, and today to be able to go in Virginia, hoping to find a good suspect in this case, and maybe give some answers to the family who's been with us for the last 48 years in this case, it will be a big relief for us, and it will be a major relief for the family.
Sharon's mother, Yvonne, now 85 years old. Her 3 siblings also hopelessly waiting for answers they feared may never come.
Family for sure will be emotional about this because they follow the investigator. Every time they have a lead on the investigation, they try to help us. They did some research for us. They were really, really big partners in this investigation.
After hours of digging, crews had reached Romine's casket that laid inside a steel vault.
Is there a chance that there may not be the answer that you're looking for?
I can't be absolutely sure that we're going to get a DNA profile from this, but I think there's a good likelihood.
Decades of work coming down to these final moments. Detectives climbed into the ground to remove several bones and other evidence that would be flown back to Canada within hours.
And we're going to make some analysis on our evidence to have, we hope, a positive match from the leads that we had on the crime scene in 1975 and from what we recovered today.
But would there be the DNA they desperately need to close the case? Would it be a positive match to Franklin Romine? But most important, would a family get the closure they've sought for nearly 50 painful years?
Our main concern is we want the family to know that we never give up on this investigation, and we're now really, really, really close to finally have some answer for them.
You can scan the QR code up on your screen right now to read everything that we've reported over the last month, including going through web-exclusive videos, pictures, and documents that are only available on WCHS-TV.com.
Eyewitness News investigates with continuing coverage of controversy at Charleston City Hall and inside the police department. 2 accusers say they have now lodged formal complaints against former police chief James Tyke Hunt.
Another woman has come forward alleging similar conduct by Hunt spanning several years. But unlike Harless, this time the accuser used to wear a badge. I talked with Chelsea McCoy last week before Tyke Hunt stepped down from the chief's office.
Now he's Chief Hunt. You had sex with him?
Yes.
Where did that happen?
In his office.
At City Hall?
Yes. He asked me to come up, and I was like, okay, I'll come up, and they just went from there.
Text messages provided by Harless outline a growing flirtatious relationship between her and the married chief of police. They exchanged explicit photographs and conversations. She says it culminated when Hunt invited her to visit his 3rd floor office.
He sat down in his office chair behind his desk. He grabbed my wrist with his arm and just pulled me over to him.
Should there be an investigation of the former chief as he comes back in any role?
I think, again, any type of investigation will happen when we receive information. So I think that, if past has shown anything, any investigation or any allegation has been investigated. So thanks, Dave.
And we start with breaking news just into our newsroom. Charleston Police Chief Tyke Hunt has stepped down.
Hunt emailed his 2 deputy chiefs and the mayor late last night and said he would be resigning effective immediately for personal and health reasons. Details of the internal investigation and punishment were not made public until after Harless spoke on a Charleston podcast and to Eyewitness News reporter Kenny Bass. I asked Mayor Amy Goodwin today if she or anyone within the administration asked Hunt to step down, and she said no.
Absolutely not.
The public deserves answers as to why the city covered up the incident with Ms. Harless until she came forward publicly.
Breaking news right now out of Mingo County, where a West Virginia state trooper is dead, and a manhunt continues tonight for the suspect. Troopers say shot him.
Well, I just want to pan over. Corbin, do me a favor, pan over here. We have some state troopers that just arrived here just moments ago. I mean, this is literally just happening right now. Now, from here, it's hard to see exactly where they are pointing to because we see flashlights in all directions. By the way, for context, I hear a woman screaming. I don't know what she said, but I heard it in the distance. This is the suspects, we believe the suspects' relatives. I'm not quite sure which one, but
take a look. This is the state police right here, and they are checking each and every car, even other police officers that are going up and down this road.
And then the word came at just about 10-15 minutes ago that the suspect was captured. We saw a flurry of activity here on Beach Road, where even this might have been a multi-state search, just because we're only about 7 miles from the Kentucky border.
Honoring a hero, Sergeant Corey Maynard. Eyewitness News special coverage starts right now.
This is the last call for Unit 312. No answer for Unit 312. 10-7, 10-42. Sergeant Corey Maynard, rest in peace, brother. We will take it from here. Troop 5 clear.
Hundreds of law enforcement officers from across West Virginia, Kentucky, and further coming together today at Mingo Central High School to pay their respects to West Virginia State Trooper Sergeant Corey Maynard. We have team coverage of this for you tonight with Daniel Burbank live outside of the high school where services were held today.
And Hannah Klein is in Williamson as we wait the procession that will take Sergeant Maynard from Mingo to Chapmanville.
We've seen state troopers from Kentucky, Tennessee, as far away as New York coming out to support the West Virginia state troopers.
You can feel the heartbreak in the air here in town. Maynard worked for the West Virginia State Police for over 15 years. He leaves behind his wife and 2 small children.
Crews are working to clean up a train derailment caused by a massive boulder in Summers County.
This is a live look of the scene from our Eyewitness News Sky Team drone.
It's going to slow the cleanup a little bit. It's already complicated by a tight space between a very steep hillside and the New River.
Dozens sent running from their homes by massive flames.
This is the biggest fire I've ever seen.
424 Canal Boulevard East at Regal Apartments. Multiple calls. Smoke coming from the roof.
Fire ripping through an apartment complex in Charleston.
Breaking news.
Flames are ripping through an apartment building along Canal Boulevard in Charleston.
This is really just devastating for everyone to watch, firefighters included. This building at the Regal Apartments is about 35 units. We were the first news crew on the scene, and so we've really watched all of this play out from the very beginning when some of the very first fire trucks arrived here.
About 35 people who are now displaced, now without a home as crews continue to fight this fire.
I actually want to show you, this is a live look. This usually is the Oakwood, West Virginia 511 camera, but they're looking across the river. You can see that smoke just extending out here. You got to remember, we're in a valley, folks. So again, this is going to continue to fill the city here. There's really nowhere for this smoke to go.
Down, and you're watching a live look right now as they maybe start that process. As that moves closer and closer to the Regal Apartments up there where they continue to battle the flames.
This seems to be one of those final solutions that they never want to do, but in this case they do have to demolish the building and everything else that's inside.
Eyewitness News reporter Anna Saunders is live right now at the scene to tell us more about the recovery effort.
And in order to tell you how to help people, it's so important to show you exactly what they've been through. And that's why we want to give you a bird's eye view of the damage tonight. I'm going to have my photographer who's up high kind of span over to show you just what is left, the mangled mess of metal, of appliances, of mattresses.
Patriot Service Group and its management companies have years of violations and issues.
Eyewitness News is looking into documents we received through a Freedom of Information Act request to the city's building commissioner. Now, what we found shows violations at certain apartment buildings from 40 years ago. The big question is when those issues were resolved and how Patriot Services Group came into the Charleston apartment scene.
At the Southern Regional Jail in Raleigh County are documented instances of no water in cells.
Cell 1. Sink doesn't work.
To toilets that won't flush.
Cell 16. Toilet doesn't flush.
Mold-infested areas, unsanitary conditions, and allegations of basic human needs like medical care and food being withheld from inmates. Allegations in the press that inmates were drinking out of toilets, not being given toilet paper, and sleeping on bare floors. 37-year-old Quantez Burks died in custody after being at the Southern Regional Jail for less than 48 hours. The state said he died of natural causes, but a private autopsy proved otherwise.
He walked in and got carried out in a body bag, and
What's wrong?
It's not right.
None of that was part of the investigation Sandy was ordered to conduct. Nothing about staffing, overcrowding, a growing number of inmate deaths, or anything other than water, toilet paper, and mattresses. Sandy said he only personally talked to 3 inmates who were handpicked by jail leaders and several COs. 10 more inmates were interviewed by another investigator a week later. He said he didn't step foot inside a cell, didn't check sinks, showers, or toilets.
Did not go into any pod, did not go into any cell. I went to the observation area and looked down on multiple pods.
Test the water from there?
Did not test the water from there, sir.
Sandy said he hadn't been told about a walkthrough and documentation of the shape of the jail just a few months prior when these videos and pictures were taken by a lieutenant.
No means of working communication from cell to tower. So after lockdown, they'd have to beat on the doors.
But later he testified he wished he had. About a month later, the governor's office published Sandy's 14-page report, concluding nothing was wrong at the jail. They called the allegations made in the news simply not true.
It is correct, sir. I stand by the report.
While the lawsuit cites inaction by the Justice Administration, the governor declared a state of emergency over staffing at West Virginia jails more than a year ago and called in the National Guard to help.
We have been dealing with this situation for too long. Way too long.
A month ago, Justice signed several bills meant to prop up the decaying facilities that have a roughly 30% overall vacancy rate. His new Department of Homeland Security Cabinet Secretary and Corrections Commissioner stood beside him.
Now we're on a pathway of making things better for a lot of folks that are here. But not only that, we're on a pathway to hopefully be able to have adequate staffing to where everybody can do their job safely and do their job correctly and do their job humanely in every way.
New thinks the new legislation is simply too little, too late.
Within the Justice Administration, they have the ability to fix a lot of these issues, especially when a state's sitting on a $1.8 billion budget surplus.
We've reached out to Governor Justice's top administration for comment, and Chief of Staff Brian Abraham has agreed to sit down with me early next week. As for the separate federal investigation into the facility that led to the charges against the 2 correctional officers for the death of Quantez Burks, it's still ongoing. It's been more than a year since Governor Jim Justice declared a state of emergency over critical staffing shortages at correctional facilities across West Virginia. Since then, more than 300 National Guard members have been helping staff the facilities that house more than 10,000 inmates. The Guard doesn't perform correctional officer duties, but they do come with a hefty price tag. According to the most recent numbers from the state auditor's office, $21,705,002.91 has been paid from the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation to the Guard for salaries since the state of emergency. How does the governor justify the use of that taxpayer money?
Part of that money, if it weren't spent on the National Guard members, a good portion of it would be going to wages for correctional officers.
Been a messy and chaotic week for jail officials, also caught in the middle of that document debacle you've been reporting on for months now.
Andrew Fleshman and Stephen Wimmer just pleaded guilty on a conspiracy charge for Burks' death. All in all, at the end of the day, this could have a sweeping effect on corrections across the entire state.
Eyewitness News has the only camera there as troopers open fire on a murder suspect. We have a lot of new information coming into the newsroom on just what happened. We have team coverage to break it all down step by step.
Michael Scott Jr. appears nervous but largely compliant in police body camera footage moments before Officer Zachary Winters will slam him into the pavement, fracturing his skull last summer. The 34-year-old Scott fidgets during a frisk for a misdemeanor trespassing arrest and will pay with his life for it.
The fire is still burning behind us. The good thing is that it's mostly contained. I'll step out of the way. I mean, it's quite literally burning behind us. But this is an example of what they call a fire line.
This wreckage is quite the scene. If you take a look behind me, you can see that this truck came over the turnpike, came down and landed in this yard here in the Kanawha City area. I'm thankfully able to report the driver is okay, and that's really thanks to this fellow right here, Matt Wolf. Matt, you're working here for the city of Charleston, and you happen to see all this happen.
Eyewitness News starts right now with breaking news.
It's a story that the whole state has been talking about. WVU men's basketball coach Bob Huggins is out as WVU men's basketball coach. This breaking news coming down late tonight after Huggins was arrested for DUI in Pittsburgh. We just got this breaking news moments ago. A statement from Bob Huggins to West Virginia University communities.
Heavy police presence here at the scene at the Dollar General in the Midway area. Once you go ahead and take a look, they're still kind of planning, still trying to carry out some of these various searches that are going on in the area, both on the ground and in the air.
There's a large open area on all sides of this house. There was no safe way for officers to approach without exposing themselves to gunfire.
The size of the multi-county police response stunned residents of the state's smallest county.
Ready for the fighting Irish to battle the Blue Devils? Ready, set, hike. Here at Eyewitness News, we're working to make sure you're ready for all the Mother Nature might throw your way. Dante, go on!
Things are heating up on the football field, and tonight I'll break down how it could be heating up in the forecast later this week.
I'm here to quarterback our Storm team to a winning forecast and make sure you don't get caught in a weather blitz as the seasons change. And whenever you can't watch us call weather plays here on the air, don't worry, just scan the QR code on your screen. That'll download our Eyewitness News Storm Team weather app.
I'd like to give you an update on the significant widespread flooding occurring across our area.
Until we can get this pattern unblocked here, it's going to remain a major concern here through the middle part of this week. So, my advice, honestly, in, these areas that have evacuated, I would stay away from your house through Wednesday. I would not go back home here this afternoon, even when it's safe to do so.
Because this is what happens. You get rapid, powerful streams of water running down from the mountains.
Yeah.
And the power of running water cannot be overstated. And our thoughts and prayers are with those in eastern Kanawha County. That's a rough scene right there.
We have crews all over our area gathering the latest information for you.
Hollow area and also in the Fields Creek area. And Fields Creek was probably the hardest hit segment of the county. There were over 20 water rescues in Kanawha County.
This is a dangerous weather pattern that we're in here right now. We have very slow-moving showers. We have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and so we're going to continue to deal with this.
So I want you to walk with me a little bit. I want to show you exactly what we're seeing over here. This is the aftermath of the floods. You can just see tons of the mud, just pieces of fences and rocks.
So be very careful if you're going to be out driving late tonight, early tomorrow morning, perhaps. And, of course, power outage is a big story, which we'll be giving you an update on. Those numbers have gone way up. So that's the kind of wind that's coming in here in the next hour or two. So while it might be calm right now, and you're thinking, well, why are you guys on? Right. It's going to get much, much worse here. You're going to hear the wind really start to roar.
Take a look at this stunning video from our Eyewitness News Sky Team drone. From high above that massive mudslide in Mingo County, we've been following all day. And we're learning new details about what caused the mess that knocked 2 homes off of their foundation and was so forceful it derailed 3 train cars filled with coal.
A firefighter on scene tells me he has never seen anything like this, and despite all of the damage, he's calling it a miracle that no one was hurt. Neighbors say they heard a loud boom at around 4:30 this morning, and that's when the hillside came in. It took a home off of its foundation, trapped another family inside theirs, and damaged one more house with the water and mud. Sarah Jackson was home at the time and says it sounded like a hurricane.
Right now I'm thankful to be alive and thankful my neighbors are alive.
Well, ESSER is short for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. It's the $190 billion federal program designed to help students and educators navigate the COVID pandemic. West Virginia received $761 million of that money, but there have been problems nationwide with improper purchases and instances of fraud due to how school districts spent that cash. Upshur County could soon be added to that list. It all comes to a head tomorrow morning at the state school board meeting where Superintendent David Roach may be making his last stand. It's a story you'll see only here on Eyewitness News. A routine local education agency monitoring report on ESSER spending in Upshur County, stemming from a visit by auditors in February of this year, details several instances of noncompliance. But the problem doesn't rest merely within the North Central West Virginia school system. It's also having a major impact on the state's Department of Education, reaching all the way to the top, and the Office of West Virginia Superintendent of Schools, David Roach. Upshur County has 7 elementary, 1 middle, 1 high, and 1 technical school, serving 3,700 students. LEA monitoring shows the county's noncompliance with ESSER spending on several fronts, including no-bid contracts, ineligible entertainment purchases, room rentals, and employee reimbursements. It all adds up to more than $131,000. But that may just be the tip of the financial iceberg.
Live from Go-Mart Park, Eyewitness News this morning starts right now.
Good morning. Welcome to Eyewitness News this morning. So good to have you along with us here. We are live from Go-Mart Park as we are lighting the night only this morning, Anthony.
Yeah, we're getting a sneak peek, and we're going to give you a look of the entire park. Our Hannah Klein is going around now checking out all the fun things because there's a ton of them.
So a week before Thanksgiving, and we are really lighting up Charleston here. And Jennifer and them were just talking about it's a little warmer out here this morning.
You know, it's not as bad. I don't want to say it's warm, but it's
chilly.
It's seasonably chilly.
You can catch all the action on Stadium. Check out the channels you see here. You can also stream it live on our Eyewitness News Facebook and YouTube pages. And don't forget to join us on WCHS for Friday Night Football Extra. We're breaking down all the big games and the big plays from around our region. All the fun starts Friday night at 11:10 right here on Eyewitness News. Since 1965, Joe Eddie Cowley Field served as the home of Herbert Hoover High School football. Tonight marks a new beginning for those wearing the Husky red, white, and blue. Herbert Hoover steps inside its beautiful state-of-the-art stadium located on a brand new campus to meet up with the Nitro Wildcats. It's a history-making night near the Elk River, and we're ready to bring you all the pageantry and excitement in our third installment of the Parmar Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week.
People I know in this area, as long as they have the funds, they'll pull it off. They have the will and the desire and the work ethic and the morals and everything that it takes to really get through this.
It's overwhelming. I get a little emotional.
We've accomplished a lot under some difficult circumstances, so I'm really excited to see what our kids can accomplish when they have that facility.
I get chills. It seems so surreal. I feel like we're gonna walk in there and it's gonna be a whole different world.
But now we're getting this brand new school and it's gonna be really, really nice. I'm really excited to actually be in a school with lockers and hallways.
It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be great for our community because we've all been waiting for this for so long.
We stick together, we fought together to make sure that this would happen, and here we are, very excited.
Let's bring on the Huskies!
Hoover Strong, a new era for the Huskies. A special edition of Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock starts now.
The day is finally here, a huge celebration. Herbert Hoover High School opened its doors to students yesterday, just more than 7 years after the school was destroyed by floods. Right now, we're taking a look from our Eyewitness News Sky Team drone as the Huskies take the field for the first time at their brand new stadium.
Greetings from Elkview along with Dave Benton and our wonderful Eyewitness News team. I'm Mark Martin, delighted to have all of you with us for our special coverage, Hoover Strong.
We do have team coverage for you. All the excitement here along the Elk River. We have Daniel Burbank. He's over in the stands where you hear the crowd cheering for one of the teams during the scrimmage right now. And a lot of them are here to see Brad Paisley, too.
Tell me what today means to you.
It's very exciting. It's a very cool experience just to see everybody out here.
Horns are up. Come on, think about it. 5.
Marching to the beat.
5, 6, 7, and.
Of her students' drums. Malia Fisher says the last 7 years have been a lot like, well, marching in the band.
Let's roll. I've had people come up to me and say, I couldn't have done it. And I'm like, yeah, you just take it one step at a time.
Week 1 of Friday Night Football is next Friday. By then, we're still going to be blaring the AC. We're still going to be mowing the grass. The beach balls are still going to be out at the pools. But by week 10, the last week of the regular season, the leaves are going to be falling off the trees. The turkeys are going to be on the shelves. And you're going to be wearing your favorite sweaters, those pumpkin spice lattes as well. Look how temperatures change. Kickoff for week 1, 80s down to 70s. It's 50s by the time these games start.
In so many ways, it's just been awesome to see the excitement, feel the energy, and we're so happy for this community and how they've come full circle.
Yeah, well, Joey Fields and his Huskies, they got a lot to be excited about. Everyone here on the Elk River, they got a lot to be excited about here in this 2023-24 school year.
And that'll do it for us here. Make it a great night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.